Hey Internet. Today I just want to talk about crocheting. Mm, a lot about it. This video is titled, of course, like Addicted to Crocheting. So it's about that. I guess it could also be about being passionate about crocheting. Kind of both. There's kind of a thin line between those two things. But like just my story, like how I got into it and why I'll always love it. So when I was like 7, I saw my grandma doing it, and she showed me how to do a chain stitch. Then when I went home, I spent the whole night just doing a chain stitch with a ball of yarn bigger than this ball, and I did it until I ran out of yarn. And then, like, I forgot if it was a week or 2 weeks after, I went back and learned some more stuff. But yes, I immediately fell in love with crocheting. And then for my 8th birthday, she got me this book that had, it was like 16 beginner crochet patterns, and some yarn. And at first, I was 8. It was very difficult to read these crochet patterns, so she helped me a lot. And I was very bad at reading in kindergarten, 1st grade. At this time now, I was in 2nd grade. I was very bad at reading, very slow. Like the school I went to, like the classroom split into 3 groups, A, B, and C, with A being like the lowest level readers. At the beginning of the school year, I was in that group. But as I learned how to read crochet patterns, my reading comprehension skills also got way higher. And I was moving schools, but right before we were gonna move, I would have been put into the C group. So because of that, when we moved schools, they and then this also improved my math skills. I think I was very bad at math in kindergarten, and then I got my hands on a counting book though in kindergarten, and that I want to give the counting book some credit too, but crocheting deserves some credit because it made me just like think about numbers and patterns. I feel like it caused some connections in my brain, I think, learning how to crochet and read patterns at a young age. So when I moved schools near the end of 2nd grade, they tested me to put me in the like gifted class or whatever, and I got in, and I feel like suddenly being surrounded by like being put in such a nice environment for learning. I feel like the reason I got that was in part from crocheting, but then being in that environment, I feel like it totally changed my life. Suddenly, I was also good at school, I guess. So it's like I had crocheting and I had school, and it made life feel okay. Because that's another thing I was going to talk about. Um, as soon as I learned how to crochet, as soon as I learned how to just do a chain stitch, crocheting became my number one coping mechanism. And I'm very glad it did because, I mean, compared to a lot of people's coping mechanism, it was a pretty, relatively healthy coping mechanism, and I still think it is. But, I think even a healthy coping mechanism can in itself become an addiction. Which definitely now, like, to this day present, I'm 21, about to be 22, whenever something is stressful in my life, I still use crochet as a coping mechanism. But the thing is, crocheting for hours straight with no breaks is also not particularly healthy. So we can talk about that, I guess. My tips for people in a similar boat. A recent tip that I just discovered was Pomodoro timers. They're also extremely cute. I really recommend the channel Pomodoro Cat. It's amazing. It's cute. The 25 minutes with 5-minute breaks. I find that's really nice for crocheting. and other things. And then another thing is just having other coping mechanisms as well that are kind of similar to crocheting. One that's kind of directly related, so not perfect, is knitting. If you can learn how to knit, I feel like the motions are different enough that it gives you a little bit of a break. But better yet is something like walking. It's a similar, you're just repetitive motion over and over again. And I think that's good. Just finding a mix of things. Um, but I'll always love crocheting. I feel like it totally changed my life for the better. I feel like I would not be anywhere near where I am today. Like I'm about to graduate college. I feel like I never would have gotten here if it weren't for crocheting. And I think it's just crazy to think about. I'm curious if this phenomenon has happened to anyone else. You suck at school, your life is crap, like you have no reason to live, and then boom, life totally changed. So, yep. Thanks for this. Um, thanks for crocheting with me, I guess. Let me know in the comments if anyone relates, though. I'm curious.